long ball number 3 here for Friday, when some spectators of United States men's national team were expecting the international roster to drop for the upcoming squad for the international break coming up next week. They announced that on Sunday, the American roster of players is going to come out. So over this weekend, which American player could put themselves into Pacha's plans?
Well, I think there's definitely this question of why this quote unquote delay. I mean, we've seen the England team come out. I mean, a lot of the Nations League teams in Europe are already out. I don't know if I'm probably Mexico's roster is out. I haven't actually checked on that. Canada, these other teams that are playing in Nations League games, they probably already have their rosters out. And here's the United States waiting till a Sunday. Like, who's paying attention to the roster on a Sunday? But this probably has to do with firming up some last minute things. I mean, maybe it's about you don't have to secure release for a player who's already in U.S. international because they have to be released by their club. But you do have relationships, and you do have questions sometimes. Oh, the player's carrying a knock, or he's fatigued after playing so many games in a short period of time. And this is what we went through with Christian Pulisic leaving the team ahead of the game against Mexico in the last window, and that was obviously a friendly. There is some speculation, Rob, that this is about dual national possibilities and just a couple of candidates. Henry Chase, the center back at Stuttgart, his name is out there. Whether or not he might be in, I think the Japan team looks like it will not include him, and he is eligible for Japan. You also have Luca Coglioscio, who is eligible for Italy and Canada. And I think that's the one that if you look at the internet, that's the one that the U.S. men's national team fan base seems to think, based on a couple of tweets, is the one coming and joining the team. That's interesting. He's a winger. So, who's out, who gets sacrificed from that last group if he's in this team? Because what this team really needs, and this is why we talked about it maybe being a thing that Pochettino's going to Orlando or to watch that game between Orlando City and Charlotte, with Duncan McGuire likely to play a role. When you've got limited options at center forward, do you really need another winger? When you've got Pulisic and you've got Weah, and you can bring in a guy like Alexandre Dejas, who was in the last group. So I don't know. I mean, it's certainly interesting.
So who would you like? I mean, looking at Luca Coglioscio, who you mentioned could be one of the players that's got a big decision to make, because playing these games would commit him to one nation or another. Burnley is the team that he plays for, taking on Swansea on Sunday morning. So I don't know if a performance would necessarily play into it, because they would be kicking off right when this game when the American roster is getting released at the same time that Burnley is kicking off against Swansea. Staying on that roster, who would you want to see of the players that are available, that we know are available? Do you think there'll be any surprises? My mind keeps flittering to the goalkeeping situation. Who actually gets a run out here for the Americans against these games against Jamaica in the net?
Yeah, I don't think anything changes. I mean, I hate to say it, because I don't know that anybody is comfortable with what's going on with our goalkeeper situation.
Schulte didn't do enough.
I don't think Schulte's the number one right now. No, I don't think that's changed. I think Matt Turner is still going to be the number one. And again, you that doesn't make us feel warm on our soccer insides, because the guy doesn't play. When he does play with some rust, he has a little bit of trouble. I mean, the goal he gave up to John Duran was not a sharp goalkeeper's goal to give up. So, and there were other moments in that game. Excuse me, I'm all choked up about this goalkeeper situation, Rob. It's killing me.
You want to see Jason shed a tear bring up the American goalkeeper situation.
I mean, it's sad that this is where we're at. If there was anything that we're good at, it's supposed to be using our hands. And here we don't even have a guy who can use his hands in this sport that you otherwise have to use your feet in. Goalkeeper is not where I'm focused. I think center back is an issue. I mean, it remains an issue, right? Because you don't have Chris Richards. He's out injured. You can look at a McKenzie. Does he fill you with confidence? You can look at Austin Trusty, who had a decent day in the Champions League against Girona alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers. Is he convincing enough for Pochettino? I don't think he was not in that last team, right? The first team that Pochettino called up, no Cameron Carter-Vickers because of injury, but back healthy, able to be called in. Tim Ream. This is the question, Rob.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that why the Sunday announcement is because they're waiting? Is Pochettino's waiting for the result of the Charlotte-Orlando game?
Could be something to do with making sure that your options are healthy going into the week, and rather than saying let's call up all these guys and then hey, Tim Ream went down, or anybody for that matter went down. So that's very possible. Miles Robinson convincing anybody right now. Right. I did an episode of the Best Soccer Show. I'll cross promote here. I did an episode of the Best Soccer Show last night where I went through the possible roster from what I can tell. I mean, it was tough because throwing in the dual national guys who are not yet committed is taking, why spend a lot of time when we can't be sure, but it's certainly possible. But something like what our center back situation looks like is absolutely on the table. And then you go, okay, well, Miles or Walker Zimmerman returning to this team, is that really something people think is going to happen? And then again, Pochettino in this window, unlike the last one, which was a couple of friendlies where you could argue it's a little bit of experimentation, even if he doesn't have a lot of time, he's got to pick a good team. He wants to pick the best possible team to get them working towards his ends. In this window, you need to win these games, right? Maybe we don't rate the Nations League all that highly because it's still new and weird, but they are meaningful matches. They have value that way. You have to beat Jamaica over 2 legs to move on to the semifinal. And if that's the case, you pick the best team available, regardless of whether or not this is the team you're going to have in 2026.
We shall see. Sunday at 10, we'll find out who is in Mauricio Pochettino's squad list. Please, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe to the Morning Kick Around YouTube channel. That is one of the fundamental ways to help us grow this program. 500, the biggest first benchmark to hit. We're just over the 350 mark, so keep on spreading the word of Morning Kick Around. Find us online on the social medias, mkickaround on X and Instagram, or write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com.